And if you think about it, guys, like if you have a partner and you guys are in love, which me and London are very much in love, they're going to go into bat for you no matter what, whether you're wrong or right. I was wrong. She was going into bat for me because she didn't want to see me get hurt. I would create drama or negative, and I would have all these comments and really negative things thrown at me. So London would then go into protect mode, and she would say a comment back to someone, and it would throw Tammy under the bus, and it was very complicated at the time, as you guys I'm sure can understand.
It's been a hot minute since we last investigated what's going on in the world of Tammy Hembrow.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment.
The it girl of Australia. Her family are known as the Kardashians of the Southern Hemisphere. Well, a lot has happened, a lot has changed, and a lot of fans are enraged. And I've got to say, I think we got it all wrong. I don't think Tammy's the bad guy here. I believe Reese has been the drama, and he's been the drama for a very, very long time. First off, he exposed Tammy years ago. He then got with her biggest fan, and he then moved overseas with his new family. It's a lot to take in, so buckle up your drama seatbelts and let's dive in. Tammy, if you didn't already know, is pregnant with her third child and engaged to her super hot fiancé Matt Poole. Now, he's gorgeous for a number of reasons, not just his looks. He literally picked up the slack when Tammy's baby daddy left. He's a hottie, and Tammy knows that she's a lucky gal. So Reese stopped seeing the kids and started a whole new life and is now overseas. He also deleted all the pics of his first two kids with Tammy off his social media. Apparently he's done that because he claims he's sick of the hate he gets from Tammy's fans. In an interview with Daily Mail, he had explained his decision to do so. I'm definitely not the kind of person that feels the need to prove people wrong and post this kind of stuff all the time. But everyone needs to understand Instagram isn't reality, and people can do a lot in real life and can keep it off social media. My relationship with Wolf and Saskia will continue to be left off of social media for now because of the constant harassment and judgment of me as a father. So anyway, back to Tammy's new sexy man. He's amazing, he's hot, he's rich, he owns a couple of restaurants apparently, and he definitely is not a downgrade. No way. This dude is out here providing for her two kids like they're his own, and he treats Tammy just like the queen she is. Matt also brings out this happy side of Tammy that no one knew existed. Like, I feel when she was with Reese watching their old vlogs, they definitely laughed and had fun, but the sparkle in her eye at the moment, like that energy is just unmatched. If anything, she definitely had a major upgrade. Just their whole dynamic, you can tell that they're madly in love. Now, obviously, the Reese situation is a very touchy, sad subject for fans because everyone believes Reese is a deadbeat father now because he literally ditched his kids and moved overseas with his new wife and their new baby. But I also feel like he was kind of coerced into moving and probably would not have moved if it wasn't for London. When news broke that Reese had a new girlfriend back in the day, fans were claiming that Reese had upgraded. So anyway, why did Reese and London move? Well, they got married and had such a gorgeous baby, and London decided that she didn't want to live in Aussie anymore. She's from the States, as Reese knew prior to them getting married, and she was probably the one who decided that she wanted to move to America, probably for the support of her family, shortly after their gorgeous son was born. This has obviously upset a lot of people, mainly Reese's children, because now people fear the effect that this will have on the children. And I'm pretty sure he had 50-50 custody up until this point, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the only time that they weren't doing 50-50 was around the time when the pandemic hit, and that's understandable circumstances. After the news broke that Reese had left overseas with his new family, Tammy answered this question on Instagram. Do you look after Wolf and Sass full time now? To which she responded, yes, and she's left it at that. Something people will never forget is the hypocrisy of this whole situation and the move. Basically, years ago when Tammy was dating rapper Tiger, she was planning on moving to the States with the kids, and Reese would not let her. However, apparently at the time he said it would be okay for them moving to the US, so long as he got Tammy's Range Rover. Now that the tables have turned, Reese is the one that moved to America. Fans are also pointing out that he doesn't even seem to be that interested in helping out with London and his child because of the way that he's been behaving, but we'll investigate that in a little bit. At present, it really does seem like reckless behaviour to want to be travelling the world and going on holidays without being vaccinated, because lots of countries have super tight restrictions at the moment. The pair had jetted off on vacation to Switzerland in December with their 9-month-old son. They did so separately within days of each other, and because of Switzerland's recently imposed rules restricting unvaccinated travellers from entering the country, London was stopped at the border. However, Reese managed to gain entry into the country despite being unvaccinated, because the rules hadn't taken effect when he'd arrived. Reese has, however, continued his trip around Switzerland, surprise, surprise, showing off on the socials, leaving his new wife and child to fly back to their home in America without him. And we can imagine that was probably extremely stressful for her. After returning home, London took to her Instagram and had said, "It's been the longest 2 days ever. We travelled to come stay with Daddy in Switzerland for Christmas and got turned around at the border. When I booked my flight, all I needed was a PCR test, and when I arrived yesterday, they changed the law, and you had to be vaccinated to enter. So long story short, Stone and I travelled 14 hours yesterday, saw Dad for maybe 2 hours at the police, then stayed in a little tiny room all day yesterday and today. Now we're on our way back home another 14 hours. P.S. Reese is not vaccinated and travelled to Switzerland a few days before me. The officers told me the law changed because of the new strain of COVID that just came out. Reese travelled there with a PCR test only and had no problems, so I thought it would be fine to do the same. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and I was too late. If I would have known about the law changing, the outcome would have been different, and I'd be there with my hubby." So let's rewind a second. When Reese first moved to the States with London, there was drama surrounding him entering the country too. London went over first, and then Reese followed a little later. Reese ended up having issues with his visa and had to stay in Mexico for a while, for a whole 2 months actually. And while London was tending to their baby in the States, Reese, I kid you not, was out here partying it up every single night with other female influencers that were also in Mexico.
Reese Hawkins, who currently lives alone in Mexico, has been spotted partying with Crystal Gomez and Afnan Khalifa. The pair describe themselves as growth coaches, and looking at their Instagrams, it looks like they're crypto investors.
I mean, I guess he was stuck anyway, so what else was he going to do? But fans literally flipped their shit and had a field day over this fiasco. I bet Tammy's feeling pretty relieved this ain't her man's anymore. I know I would be. Wow, he's really 3 kids deep and still just does his own thing. So anyway, his 2 children he had to Tammy are doing well through all of this. They are incredibly loved, have a boss mum and a stable stepfather figure. Fans have pointed out that both London and Reese are actually kind of lazy, and they quit everything they start apparently, including the YouTube channel, the OF, the podcast, etc. They even ended up leaving Australia not long after their baby was born, and maybe this was London's plan all along, who knows? We all know that London was a huge fangirl of Tammy at one point. She'd even commented that she was obsessed with their family back in the day, and fans dug up this deleted comment, of course. There were also all the dramas that took place when Reese briefly split from London due to her dramas with his baby mama Tammy, but then they got back together, and shortly after this, London got pregnant, to which Tammy shaded on her Instagram story at the time. I've done a whole other video on their prior dramas that I'll leave linked down below if you want to go check it out after this video, but the biggest thing I've noticed is this massive glow up that Tammy has had since meeting her current fiancé Matt Poole. I think we all remember that Tammy went through a really dangerous stage of her life, a really low point. You know, she was hanging with the IT crowd in LA, living it up with Kylie Jenner and the Kardashians, and it all kind of went sour at Kylie Jenner's 21st, where Tammy had to be stretchered out of Kylie's birthday because she had apparently OD'd. Now, Tammy denied this at the time, and she just said that it was from exhaustion, but there were all these rumours going around. So yeah, she was in a really dark place after Reese and her split up, but years later she had time to grow and move on, and now she just seems so happy. So what are your thoughts on this whole situation? Do you think Reese and London will ever move back to Australia? Let me know in the comments.